that fun?
Yeah. Good music.
Good morning,
Hello.
everyone. Afternoon,
Whatever.
evening, because you never know.
Depending on what time zone you're in.
Imagine that. Yeah, so this is episode number 272 of our button show. What does this button do? And it's all about time zones, tips and tricks, things we've been doing for a while. Okay, we are an educational show about smartphones and technology, and that's us, Geeks on Tour.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jim. And we have a quick tip for you, or Chris does. It's multiple clocks on your phone screen. Go ahead, Chris.
This really is a quick tip just to know that if you make phone calls or have friends or people that you deal with in other time zones, you can easily see right on your phone what time it is there with these widgets. So we have a couple of very short videos, one for Android and one for iPhone, number 547. Hi, this is Chris Gold with Geeks on Tour, and in this short video, I'm going to show you how to add the dual clock widget to your home screen on an Android or specifically a Samsung device. First, you long press on any blank area of the home screen and you should see more options. Down at the bottom you see widgets. Tap that and it's the clock widget. Tap that once and you see three choices for the type of clock. I want the dual clock. You long press on that and then you get to drop it off on the screen where you want it to show. It's showing me the time where I am, which happens to be Sydney, Australia right now, and I can tap on the other side to add a different city. And I will search the map for Miami. And add. And that's it. I now have a clock on my home screen that shows me the time in two places in the world. Hi, this is Chris Gould with Geeks on Tour, and I'm going to show you how on your iPhone you can see the time in different time zones. There are two ways to get to what's called the world clock. Number one, see the clock icon on this home screen? It is giving you a live time of where you are, but if you tap on clock, you now have world clock or alarm or bedtime or stopwatch or timer. Tap on world clock and you see the places that you have added. To add another place, you tap on plus and then you find the name of the city that's in the time zone that you are looking for. And it is now added. If you want that at the top of the list, you tap on edit, and then there's these three bars at the right where you can touch and hold and drag it up. And you're done. The other way to get to the world clock is to open your control center. In older iPhones, you just swipe up from the bottom. In an iPhone 10, you'd have to swipe down from the upper right corner. And you should see a little icon, there's the bottom one here, with a clock. And that takes you to the same place. Make sure to tap on world clock and you see the times. Okay, now I just realized that video was actually made before there was such a thing as widgets on the iPhone. So we have another video on how to add a widget, but on the iPhone, you can have a widget that has up to 4 items from the world clock. So just right on your home screen, you can see what time it is in Los Angeles, Miami, Sydney, and Paris. And that is a widget. Now on the Android, the video did show how you could add a widget called the dual clock. Well, what if you have more than 2 places that you want to keep track of? Well, you can just add another widget of the dual clock. So here on my Android phone, I have one widget that has Sydney and London time. I have another widget that has Berlin and Hyderabad, India time. So, yeah, if you are often having to deal with people in other places in the world, why not have their time right in front of your face on your phone? It's a good thing.
Okay, great. Well, hi everyone. I'm Jim.
And I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your iPhone or your Android phone or tablet? And how do you learn? How do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks. Both of us have been fascinated with technology forever. But another word for geek is a propeller head, which is why we wear these silly hats. But we are geeks who teach, and we think the best way to learn is with specific topics on a regular basis. So we came up with this YouTube show where we pick a topic and go into a little bit of depth every other week now.
It seems to be
we're,
that
we're,
now, yeah.
We're on to every other week.
But we have something going on every Sunday at 2 o'clock. So a lot of times it'll be a Fun with Photos episode that Chris makes. And we'll be on the chat. So we premiere those on the Sundays where we're not going live. And of course, when we travel, it's hit or miss. So
yeah, and so we will be for a while. And where are we now?
Oh goodness, we're home. It's Fort Lauderdale, Florida, sunny southern Florida. The sun was out a minute ago, and then it was raining, and the sun's back out. So I think it'll be a nice
That's
day.
Florida.
And yeah,
but we have a great neighborhood. We go for there's a circle that we can go for a walk. It's just over a mile, so it's perfect. And these palm trees and the lake there is part of
somebody
our
else
walk.
from South Florida. That's us. Sugarland, Texas. It can be nice there. Sheila, good to
Hi,
see
Sheila.
you. Jay, all
Jay,
right, we'll get
Dallas,
through
Fort
these.
Worth.
Yeah,
Debbie, she's here in
she's
South Florida.
not too far away. Yeah,
And she knows this neighborhood.
Well, indeed. Deadlift Cold in Berlin.
In Berlin.
Too
Okay,
bad.
but you made it. I know there was one other. When the daylight savings changed last fall, I know that screwed you up a little bit. So I was thinking of you when I came up with some of the examples here.
What's your state doing to keep standard time? I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing either.
Yeah, there's something. There's some bills.
Could be.
But, yeah.
Yeah. And Sheila wants to know what we use for recording our screen and our live shows, Zoom or YouTube. Sheila, I use Ecamm. Ecamm Live is the studio app software that I use for all of this production, and it has a recording feature. So, and then sometimes we do a Zoom.
Yeah. But so, for example, the fact that I'm in a little square up there and Jim is in a little square below me and a slide is over there, that's Ecamm that is making that happen with his knowledge of how to use it. But the fact that as soon as we are done with this YouTube live, it is a recording, that's just all on YouTube. You do a YouTube live, as soon as you're done, it is a YouTube recording.
Right.
As long as you check the box to make it public or, yeah.
Okay. You're welcome. You remember
How do I remember last fall? Because we were in London. That's why I remember last fall. And I learned then that London does observe daylight savings,
A
but
week
they do
later.
it a couple weeks different.
Yeah, it's strange.
So my favorite hello and hardest goodbye.
Well, be
Ooh.
careful. All right, let's
All
get
right.
to it.
Okay.
We do want to thank all of our premium members. Those are the people who pay and make this all possible, and we thank you so much. Join us. Become a premium member. It's $68 for 1 year or $58 if you do a recurring, and it's easy to do. Go to geeksontour.com/join now.
And we have a couple of new things in the works that are for premium members only.
And we're happy about that.
So it's a good time to join.
All right. And the Backstage Pass is one of those benefits for our premium members. Right after this, what we call a show, the Button Show, we have a Zoom meeting for our premium members. And you get the link from an email that Chris sent out earlier today, or you just go to geeksontour.com and go to the member login menu item and click on the Backstage Pass there. You'll get to it. And we welcome you to come by. All right. Time zone.
Yeah, I always have fun with that.
Yeah, we do.
You know, it is really like an extended family. And some of them even came on a trip with us to Hawaii. You know, we do promote our community.
Okay.
This show is about time zone tips and tricks. Now, if you really want to understand time zones, oh my, there is a lot to know. We have done this topic before in episode 215. This is 272. If you go back to 215 and you get there by going to geeksontour.com, YouTube shows, and what does this button do? Episode 215, we go into a little bit more of the understanding of how time zone works, because that's when we were working through it, trying to understand it. We lived in an RV for 14 years and we're always in a different time zone. We had to figure it out, and we do it through teaching. When you change time zones, and we were scheduling events, you know, we may have been in Texas, but we were on our way to an RV rally in Oregon and we had to schedule events. How do you do that so that it works? So we have come up with just some tips, and that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to do tips about multiple clocks on the phone. We already did that one. Asking Google or Siri, we're going to do that. Check phone settings, using Google Calendar. What time zone should you use? Using Google Calendar and the world clock, and the current topic du jour, AI.
Oh.
Yes, AI can help as well. Now, my tendency as a teacher is to do kind of a building block and end with the best one. And I said, no, I don't want to leave the best for last. I want to start with the best.
Dessert first.
So
eat dessert
eat
first.
dessert first. Here is what I think is my best tip. If you are on our mailing list, and if you're not, why not? Just go to geeksontour.com and click on newsletter. Mm-hmm. You should have seen this list of times. So we are delivering this live YouTube web streaming at 2 p.m. Florida time. I could just make one click and get this list that 2 p.m. Florida time is 11 a.m. Los Angeles, 12 Boise, 11 a.m. Phoenix. Now, why did I have Boise and Phoenix? Aren't they in the same time zone?
Yes, they are, but they're in different states.
And Arizona, the state where Phoenix is, does not observe daylight savings. Now, how is it possible for us in scheduling and telling people what time to tune in? How are we able to figure all that out? You can't. Google Calendar, because you don't know all the rules for different states. I only learned today or yesterday, because of preparing for this show, that Hawaii also does not observe daylight savings time. So, and how I did this is with Google Calendar. Google Calendar has an option called World Clock. And I'm going to show you how it works. So, I'm getting there. Here is my Google Calendar, and notice over at the left here is what is called the world clock. It has Phoenix time, it has Denver time, it has Chicago time. There's the Boise time. Now, it's saying Phoenix is 11:15. What's that talking about? That's talking about the time right now. It is 2:15 here in Florida. It's telling me that it is 12:15 in Denver, 7:15 in Germany, etc. But what if I want to know what time it will be in all these places for our next What Does This Button Do show? Well, I find our next What Does This Button Do show. It's not. It's a fun with photos next. No, there's our next one, 24. March 24. If I click on that, notice how all the times in the world clock have changed. I am saying right here, we have a button show scheduled for 2 p.m. on March 24. The time, the world clock is showing me that will be 6 p.m. in the UK. Wait a minute. I always believed that there was 5 hours difference between here and London, the UK. Well, that's because Europe does not change into daylight savings until a couple weeks later. So if I go to April and click on a 2 p.m. button show, it shows me that the United Kingdom is at 7 p.m. Is that smart or what? Yes, your smartphone, your computer is smarter than you. So use it. So how do you set up this world clock? Let me show you. I'm going to go to another user account that doesn't have it already set up. This is our imaginary friend, Alan. Google Calendar. This is Google Calendar. Other calendars might have this. I don't know. But Google Calendar is what I use. You go into Settings. And Settings. The Settings is the gear. And then you click on Settings. And scroll down a little bit. And there is World Clock right there. Make sure that it's checked on. You want to show the world clock. Then you can add the time zones. And I want to add a time zone for San Francisco. Now, here is one thing I sure wish they would do. There is no search here. Why Google doesn't give us a search to look for San Francisco? Well, and maybe they don't even have San Francisco, but they have Pacific Time, Los Angeles. I do know that that is the same. So I'm going to add that to my world clock. I'm also going to add Honolulu. Once again, I cannot search for Honolulu. I have to find, and it's going the other way, I have to find Hawaiian Islands, and as I have learned, Hawaiian Islands do not go to daylight savings, so it is this standard time. And I want London, so I add another time zone, and I just have to understand that I'm going around the world here. And London would be GMT, that's Greenwich Mean Time 0. So I'll just choose Greenwich Mean Time 0. I know that that is London. And the last one, I'm going to do India. My Google Photos group is mostly based in Hyderabad, India. And I have learned that India has only one time zone for the whole country. So I don't have to find I must have gone past it. See, this is a pain. You know, why, Google, why don't you have a search here? Other calendars have a search in this place. India Standard Time. And notice,
Sorry, I don't understand.
Notice that it's 5 hours and 30 minutes. That's weird. I don't know why it's 5 hours and 30 minutes, most everything else. So now that I've done those settings, there is no save settings. I arrow back over. And now on the left-hand side of Alan's calendar, he has the 4 time zones that I specified. And if I click on this 6 p.m. dinner at Elks, I will see what 6 p.m. on the 27th is in the 4 time zones. It's 3 o'clock Los Angeles, 12 o'clock Honolulu, 10 p.m. in London GMT, and 3:30 a.m. in India time. So then, how did I actually get that list? I just took a screenshot. I just screen grabbed that area of my calendar to show what time our show would be for every other time zone. So what do you think?
I like it. It really comes in handy.
Oh, and it's just so, once you have it set up, it is just so easy. Anytime you want to know what time is a particular appointment in any other time zone that you pay attention to, just go to Google Calendar.
Herb cracked the screen on his S21 Ultra.
Ooh.
Bummer.
Ooh. Okay. Now, but what about you want to make a phone call to a friend in Hawaii? You shouldn't do that when it's, morning here in Florida because it's going to be middle of the night for Hawaii. So and now that we kind of know, but what if you need to call somebody who's in Italy and you have no idea? Well, here is the quickest and easiest way is to just ask your smart devices. Now, warning.
Warning.
Yeah, we're going to play a little video, and in this video, it does ask Google and Siri, so it will probably activate your phones.
Be ready.
Just be ready to turn it off or ignore it.
I found this on the web.
Like that. Converting time zones. We are planning an online meeting for our Geeks on Tour members on this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. And a lot of people say, well, I never figure that right. When is that my time? So I want to show you a little tip. And all I'm going to do is ask Google. So I'm going to do it first on my Android phone, my Samsung. Hey, Google, convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Los Angeles.
4 p.m. Sunday in Los Angeles, California.
All right. So it is just converting 7 o'clock today. Now, watch this. Hey, Google.
Hold my beer.
Convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Auckland, New Zealand.
11 a.m. Monday in Auckland, New Zealand.
So it even lets you know not just the time of day, but the day. So it's 7 o'clock tonight would be 11 tomorrow in New Zealand. Okay, so that's Google on an Android phone. Now let's try Siri on an iPhone. Hey Siri, convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Los Angeles.
Okay, I found this on the web for convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Los Angeles. Check it out.
Huh.
Nowhere near as helpful. Let me just try the other one. Hey Siri, convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay, I found this on the web for convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Auckland, New Zealand. Check it out.
Well, I guess we could figure it out from there, but I really like the way Google does it a lot better. So if you have an iPhone and you want to use Google, no problem. It's that icon right there. That is the Google search and assistant. So the only thing I can't do is I can't say, hey, Google.
Well, you can.
Oh, you can. Convert 7 p.m. Miami to Los Angeles.
4 p.m. Sunday in Los Angeles, California.
Okay. So that is my tip this week, is use your Google search assistant to convert time zones.
Good.
And that video was recorded a while ago, so I was thinking, oh, maybe Siri has gotten better. Will give us an actual answer, but no, she still answered with a. But it depends on how you ask the question. There are ways you can ask the question. More often than not, when I want to ask G or S what time it is, I'm just wondering. I want to pick up the phone and call somebody. Okay, before I do that, tell me what time it is in Tokyo. And it tells me right now what the time is in Tokyo, and I can decide whether or not to make the call. So that is really, really handy. The smart assistants. Mm-hmm. The smart assistants. Okay, now we depend on our phones to know the time. How do they do that? They do that by connecting to the cell towers, and the cell knows what time it is. But there's a setting. You still need to address the setting. So let me show you an iPhone. This is iPhone I'm going to do first. And in settings and general and date and time, make sure that set automatically is on. It's showing me time zone in New York. But if I had that off, now, there could be reasons to have it off, but not in my life, there hasn't been. So you do want to have that set automatically. And whenever you move and you're connected to a different cell tower in a different time zone, your phone knows. It's a smartphone, but you do have to have that setting on. And you can also notice this doesn't say 2:26, it says 14:28, because I turned on 24-hour time. I was just playing. I really prefer not to have 24-hour time, but maybe you like it. Okay. On the Samsung Android device, under settings, it's still under a general, but it's way down here. I don't know why they put general so far down. General management, date and time, and date and time. Same thing. You want it automatic. You especially want time zone to be automatic. Now, this is an interesting one. Set time zone based on location. If you travel a lot, like we did when we lived in an RV, there would be times that we were right on the border of a time zone, and our phone might be connected to a cell tower that's on the other side. So it would give us a wrong time zone for where we actually were. This setting would avoid that. Use your phone's location to determine the time zone. And here, Android also allows you to choose a 24-hour format if you'd like. So make sure that automatic is on. I think they're on by default. If you've never been in there, they probably are on. All right. How about your computer? Now, if you ever, like we, traveled in an RV, we had our computer with us all the time. Or if you take your computer with you on travels, do not change the time. Do not go into your computer settings and say, oh, my computer thinks it's 1 o'clock when I know that, but where I am now, it's 4 o'clock. Don't go in and change it from 1 to 4. No, no, no. I'll tell you why when we get to the calendaring thing. you want to change the time zone and let it calculate. First of all, you might calculate it wrong. But second of all, anything entered in specific time zones in your calendar will be wrong if you change the time and not the time zone. And both Mac and Windows have settings for time and time zone. Just go into your settings and search for time zone. Make sure that it is set. It's set automatically, but how does that happen? If you tell your computer to set the time zone automatically, when is it going to change? Whenever you're connected to a new network in a new time zone. If perchance you're using your computer without a connection, then it's up to you to go in and change the time zone. All right. And yeah, if you any questions? I don't see any.
No.
So some people's devices did answer. Ours certainly did. and that's just such an easy way to find out what time it is somewhere else. So Google Calendar and time zones. I want you to know that you don't have to calculate the difference in time. In fact, you really, really should not calculate the difference in time because you don't know when the other place goes into daylight savings, for example. So if you're in Florida and you have a friend in Rome who invites you to an online meeting at 7 p.m. her time, don't count, you might know, oh, it's supposed to be 6 hours difference, right? So that should mean 1 o'clock. Well, maybe not. All you have to do is enter it in your calendar for her time zone and specify the time zone. Here we have a video. 6:90. Hi, this is Chris Gould with Geeks on Tour. Have you ever missed an appointment because you put it on your calendar and failed to properly account for the different time zone that this appointment was in? I'm going to show you using Google Calendar how to properly adjust for time zones. First, I want to show you what the problem is. So here I am in my Google Calendar, and I'm going to set an appointment for happy hour. And that means 5 o'clock, right? So I just click on Add Time and 5 o'clock and save. So I now have an appointment on my calendar for today at 5 o'clock for happy hour. But I'm going to show you what this looks like on my phone. So here's my phone, and I use Google Calendar on my phone. I open it up, and it says I have an appointment today for happy hour at 4 o'clock. So what's the problem here? Well, my phone is a smartphone, and it knows that I am in Texas, which is Central Time. My computer still thinks that I'm in Florida. So it set an appointment for 5 o'clock Eastern Time, which is 4 o'clock Central Time. Now, some people might make the mistake that they try to manually fix it. So on the phone, I can edit this and say, no, it's not 4 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock. Okay, and save it. But has that actually solved the problem? Let's go take a look at the computer again. And now the computer says 6 o'clock. So behind the scenes, Google Calendar is taking the time you tell it and automatically adjusting for the time zone. My calendar thinks I'm in Eastern Time Zone, so 5 o'clock in Central is 6 o'clock in Eastern. How do you tell your calendar what time zone you're in? In the settings of the calendar, you can specify the time zone. So I'll say, no, I have moved. Now there are other ways to get your computer to prompt you to change your time zone, but this is how you specify it in the calendar itself. I am in Central Time Zone. Now when I go back out, we see that it properly says 5 o'clock. Okay, so now what if we're going to be back home in Florida on the 30th and I want to set a 5 o'clock happy hour? I click on the 30th and I give it a title, add a time, and I want to set it for 5 o'clock, but it's important to tell it, since I'm talking about a time zone other than where I am, I want this to be 5 o'clock in the Eastern time zone. So you just click where it says time zone, change that to Eastern, and save. Now notice that this happy hour I just scheduled for the 30th says 4 p.m. That's because it's it's showing me the time for the time zone I am currently in, which is Central. But when I switch the calendar back to Eastern, and I can do that manually now in the settings, and time zone and Eastern. So when we are back home in Florida, this appointment will appear properly at 5 p.m. So the lesson is, if you're scheduling an appointment that happens in a different time zone from where you are, make sure to put the time in that time zone and specify the time zone. Then Google Calendar handles everything else.
Okay.
Phew. There really is a lot, but bottom line, here's the bottom line. There are 2 rules. If you are scheduling an appointment in a time zone other than yours, number 1, use the time where the event is happening. Number 2, specify the time zone. Then your calendar, and I use Google Calendar, but the iOS calendar works the same. The one that comes with the Samsung, it works the same. Your calendar will display the correct time for your current time zone. So I want to do a couple examples using the phone. So example 1, you live in Florida, you're traveling to Honolulu, you need to get on a cruise ship at 1 p.m. In the calendar, enter get on cruise ship at 1 p.m., enter the time zone, Honolulu. It will show up as 7 p.m. right now when you're in Florida, but when you're in Hawaii, it will show up as 1 p.m. So let me do that. I'm going to Google Calendar. Looks like I need to, there we go, Google Calendar. And I like to start off looking at month view. And I'll just pick a blank day. Let's say on this day, we are supposed to get on a cruise ship in Hawaii at 1 o'clock. So, get aboard. And 1 p.m., but not Eastern Daylight Time. We need Hawaii time, and it's showing up here because I've done this before, but you could just, hey, there is a search here. Isn't that nice? Hawaii Aleutian Hawaii time, and save. And notice it is showing up at 7 p.m., but I guarantee you, if I now fly to Hawaii and get off, it will be telling me 1 p.m. to get aboard. And the same thing here. Example 2, and this works the same on the iPhone as long as you're using Google Calendar. Let's say you want to attend a webinar scheduled by a group in San Francisco at 7 p.m. Remember this?
I do. Vaguely.
We were presenting a webinar to a group in San Francisco. Their meeting time was 7 p.m. Well, that's 10 p.m. our time. But I didn't trust I've learned to not trust myself with the calculations. Even if I know that it's 3 hours earlier here, I will convert that to 3 hours earlier and put it on 4 o'clock. Anyway, enter 7 p.m. in your calendar, but also specify time zone Pacific, and it shows up on our calendar at 10 p.m. So that's how you schedule appointments in different time zones. I think this is my last tip. How about AI? What did I say? The topic du jour, AI. Can AI plan a meeting across time zones? So let's say that I have 3 people. One is in Los Angeles, one is in London, one is in Hyderabad, India, and they need to have a meeting. What time can I possibly choose? So I came up with a prompt. Can you find a meeting time when the participants are in Los Angeles, London, and Hyderabad? There are 3 main generic AIs that we're using these days. Copilot is Microsoft's, Gemini is Google's, and ChatGPT is its own. So let me show you what each one of them gave me. I've already done the question and gotten the answer. So with Copilot, I said, can you find a meeting time when the participants are in Los Angeles, London, and Hyderabad? And it just chatted and chatted and chatted. Finding a meeting time when the participants are in Los Angeles, the difference between the city, one possible way to find a meeting. But it then gave me a link. So it did not give me an answer, but it gave me a link of this time and date, which I'll show you in a minute, that could give me the answer. But Copilot did not give me the answer. Gemini is Google's AI, and I asked it, can you find a meeting time when the participants are in Los Angeles, London, and Hyderabad? And it actually gave me some suggestions. It said, Hyderabad, finding a middle ground, early morning. So this could work if mornings in LA are a possible time is 6 p.m. Los Angeles, and possible time is 6 p.m., 2 a.m. in London, and 8:30 a.m. in Hyderabad. IST. No, that would be right.
India Standard.
Yeah, India Standard Time. Oh, okay, thank you. I thought Istanbul. Okay, so Gemini actually gave me some suggestions, and then ChatGPT also gave me some suggestions. But let me show you that link to timeanddate.com. And it has a meeting planner. I thought I still had this up. Well, I have it on the slide. Let's just do it from here. Timeanddate.com is a free website from as far as I can tell, and I listed the same cities and asked for meeting times, and it gives you a grid. It lists every hour for London and what hour that would be in Los Angeles and Mumbai, and it colors them green for acceptable. And yeah, so you could find one here that was 3 p.m. in London, 8 a.m. in Los Angeles, and 8:30 p.m. in Mumbai. So it's not the middle of the night for any of them. So if you need to do that, get help. Don't try to do it yourself. Don't try to figure it out.
All right. YouTube, we're on YouTube. Go ahead and hit that bell. Subscribe to our channel, and it really helps us out if you do it. All right, we remind you of the Backstage Pass. It's right after this show or at 3 o'clock-ish latest. And we'll have a Zoom meeting. Get the link from the email that Chris sent out earlier, or go to the website at geeksontour.com and click on that Backstage Pass at the member login. So let's see. Jolin likes to do the date and time site for all kinds of info.
Yeah, that timeanddate.com. It had a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Hello, Ron.
A presentation. Well, some things are more important.
So I'm kind of surprised. I had tons of questions about time zone as we traveled.
But you answered all their questions.
Oh,
there
okay,
were no more
okay.
questions. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Google Photos, what?
Well, just a little ad.
Okay.
I am doing these workshops. I'm trying to cover the whole field of Google Photos in hands-on workshops with 4 different workshops. We've had 1 and 2. Number 3 is now scheduled for April 2. It is for our premium members only. There's no extra charge, but you must be a premium member, and it's limited to 10 participants. So registration required. Just go to geeksontour.com. Under tutorials, you'll find class presentations, and you'll see it listed there, and with a link to register.
All right. Well, did you learn something? We have questions for you. All right. You have a friend in a time zone far from yours. If she invites you to an online meeting at 7 p.m., you should put it in your calendar as the time A, in her time zone, or B, in your time zone.
In her time zone, and specify the time zone. Let the calendar figure it out. It's very good at it.
All right, your phone can display the time in multiple time zones. It's called A, time zone app, B, complication, or C, widget.
That's a widget, both on the iPhone and on the Android. A widget that can show multiple time zones.
True or false? When you find yourself in a new time zone, you should change your computer's time setting.
False. You should set your computer's time setting to do it automatically. And when you sign in to a network, when you get online, it will find out the time zone and time, and it will set it.
Okay. The easiest way to know what time it is somewhere else is to A, learn the UTC codes, B, use calendar to calculate it, or C, ask one of those devices.
Ask and you'll get the answer. Much easier.
And you probably have one in your pocket most of the time. What app can take a scheduled event and list its starting time in many different time zones? Is it A, Google Calendar, B, Time Zone Monkey, or C, timeanddate.com?
A, Google Calendar is what we showed, but the timeanddate.com can also do it. But once you've listed your time zones in Google Calendar, you can click on any appointment and see the different times. I love it.
And Chloe says, great info. I know I'll have to be reminded. Yeah. Well, Kathleen, it's 51 and cloudy. Well, it's better than snowing. I guess. All right. Reminding people, our premium members, about the Backstage Pass. Come on back and say hello and join us.
We probably get it started in about 5 minutes, so it'll be a few minutes before.
Yeah,
3 o'clock.
We have to get up and move
before
all
the
the
hour.
way to the green room and do all of these other things. So anyway. So what's the webpage, Chris, that lists all of our YouTube shows?
geeksontour.com, and you'll find it underneath YouTube shows.
And the webpage that lists all of our recent newsletters.
geeksontour.com. The menu item is blogs and news. You'll find newsletters under there.
Great. And why do people pay $58 a year to join Geeks on Tour?
Well, now it's to have access to hands-on Google Photos workshops.
Very important.
Yeah. But the Backstage Pass is another one. The written notes of these of these shows. So Chloe, you can print out the written notes after I get them done. And some people sign up for a paid membership just to say thank you for all of the tutorial information that we give for free.
Right. Cool. We invite you to become a member. Just go to geeksontour.com/join now. There's a link there. Makes it easy. Sign up for our newsletters. Members get all of the books and all of the new stuff. It's cool.
Yes, I am updating the book, but only given access to members.
Okay. Well, I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. What does this button do? Okay.